Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be another drugstore foundation review. I have gone out and purchased several different drugstore foundations that I have not yet myself tried, and I've turned this into a series here on my channel where I'm trying them and then I'm reviewing them because I haven't delved a lot into the drugstore, especially the foundation world, and I was just very intrigued by it. And I figured, let's see how these foundations compared to all the other higher end foundations that I've tried here on my channel. And I do have a high end foundation, just all foundation playlist reviews. I've done several. I will link that below. And I've also done several different drugstore foundations up to this point. I will list that playlist below as well in case you are curious. So before we get into this review, I do want to let you know I upload 3 videos a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you are new, please subscribe, and if you want to be notified, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, and YouTube, hopefully, will let you know that I've uploaded a new video. Also, if you love this look, I did just film a Throwback Thursday makeup look using the Kat Von D Shade Plus Eye palette, and that's what this is. I will link that look below as well. So let's get right into the review. I'm going to be doing some check-ins throughout the day, and we're going to jump right on into the demo. But before we do that, I do want to tell you a little bit about this foundation. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy Plus Smooth Foundation. This is formulated for people with normal to dry skin. I will tell you, my skin is mostly normal, a little bit combo as we head into these warmer months. I think take it into consideration where you live, the time of year it is, what kind of temperatures you're living in, plus your skin type. I think all those things need to be considered when you're weighing whether or not a foundation is going to work for you or whether or not you like a foundation. I like certain foundations more in the winter than I do in the summer, and that simply is because of my skin type combined with where I live. I live in South Texas. We get humidity and we get very high heat. This foundation costs $7.99. I purchased mine at Walmart, so I paid a little bit less than that, but on Ulta's website, it is $7.99. You get 1 fluid ounce of this. So, I mean, when you're talking price per fluid ounce, this is a very well-priced foundation. Very inexpensive. It comes in 16 shades. I am the shade 120 Classic Ivory. What I appreciate about the packaging on this bottle is that it says right on it, it has an SPF of 18, so it lets you know there is a little bit of an SPF in this. However, do not rely on the SPF in your foundation for your sunscreen. Get your sunscreen from another source, whether it be in your moisturizer or just a separate actual sunscreen, because I don't trust that this is enough. Nor do I think there's enough actual sunscreen in here to protect your face from burning. I really appreciate that Maybelline has taken the time to give us a little bit of information on the actual bottle itself. Because I know when you're at the drugstore, you can't open this stuff up and try it. Or I should say, you should not. You should not do that. That is definitely not something that it's frowned upon. Okay. And so it says on the back, hydrates and smooths skin texture, natural luminous finish. So that's really nice that they've done that. Otherwise, it's kind of like a guessing game as to what is this foundation going to do for me. This foundation is also fragrance free, so if you have very sensitive skin or your skin is easily irritated, I think this foundation might be a good one to try for that reason. So let's jump right on into the demo, and then we're going to go over my thoughts on this foundation. I have been into priming my face lately with a spritz. I've been enjoying a lighter weight primer just because it's starting to get warm out, and the warmer it gets, the harder it is for me to wear makeup, number one, and I need to do less. Less is more. So I'm going to be using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water, and this is the Serene Green scent. These are limited edition. There's this one, there's a coconut one, and then there's a grapefruit citrus one. I highly recommend the Serene Greens. I think it is just absolutely wonderful. It's such a great way to start your day with something that just not only feels great on your skin, but the scent is so lovely. It just really sets the tone for the entire makeup application situation. I also recommend really making sure that you have done your skincare routine before going in with any sort of foundation. I'm sure you already know this, but if you are kind of newer to makeup, you might not realize that, yes, you need to make sure that your skin is hydrated before you try to apply any sort of makeup to it. Because if you have dry skin and you haven't properly moisturized your skin, I don't think there's a foundation out there that's going to look good, because it's going to your skin's going to eat it up. It's going to be like, oh, moisture, but wait a minute, that's not moisture. So just make sure that you have your skin properly hydrated before going in with makeup. Here is what the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth packaging looks like. This is a very small, compact little bottle. It is glass. First thing you're going to encounter is the fact there's no pump on this foundation. That is the number one first thing that comes to mind when I think of perhaps a con about this foundation would be the fact that there is no pump. If you are using this foundation for yourself, not a big deal, but if you're going to be applying this to other people, this could be potentially a sanitary issue. Now, I have this shade 120 Classic Ivory. I think this shade matches me really well at this point in the year. I like to just go in with my finger, kind of tilt the bottle, put the foundation all over my face. And then my preferred method, I've tried this foundation with a brush. It does just fine. And I also have used it with a dampened beauty sponge. I'm just using the beauty sponge today. I think either method works fine. Now, a dampened beauty sponge is going to sheer this foundation out a little bit more than it would be with a brush. So you can see, I mean, just effortlessly, this blended into the skin. I didn't have to work. It's not a foundation where it dries so fast that you need to do like half your face first. It feels very lightweight too on the skin. I don't feel like a heavy mask. This is not a full coverage foundation, so it won't ever probably feel that way. I've tried building it up, but really the best coverage you're going to get from this is medium. You ask, what's medium coverage? Well, medium coverage to me is when I can still really see my freckles through. I'm not so concerned about blemishes because you can use a concealer to cover up blemishes, which is what I recommend doing. I really enjoy a medium coverage foundation, and then to counteract those blemishes, I go in with the concealer, and that gives the appearance of a more fuller coverage without being cakey. Now, a full coverage situation will cover everything. It will look like makeup. It will feel more than likely like you're wearing makeup, and it, like out in the sun, you'll really be able to see it. I prefer a foundation that looks more like skin, and then to spot conceal the areas that need a little bit more attention. I think sometimes people can say, oh, I don't like that foundation because it didn't meet this expectation. But what are your expectations, and are they realistic for that foundation? If you're expecting a medium coverage foundation to cover all of your blemishes and imperfections and everything, your expectations might be a little bit too high. You need to bring them down a little bit, and then bring in another product to help maybe fix the areas that you want, you know, to have more coverage. So a medium foundation is really going to only give you that medium coverage. But what I'm saying is you can get that full coverage look by bringing in another product to really conceal the areas that need a little bit extra TLC. So you've seen how much foundation that I had applied. I would say, I don't know how much that was. I just like to kind of put the foundation evenly over my face, blend it in. I think this looks really great. This is exactly what I expected. A good medium coverage I can still see freckling through. I have some blemishes. That's my Jack in the Box, and that's the new Bluebell flavored ice cream that I ate last night. I couldn't pass it up. Peanut butter chocolate cookie dough. Like, it had chunks of cookie dough in it, and then chunks of like essentially Reese's peanut butter cup, but like Bluebell's take on it. So good. So now I'm just going to apply concealer, and I'm going to apply some powder in the areas where I do get oily, which would be my T-zone, this general area. I always get oily on my mustache, and then we will go and finish my face and come back. So as I pointed out in the demo, my number one con to this would be the packaging. I do not enjoy that this can spill over. Especially when you're in a hurry. I'm always like haphazardly doing things quickly. If you spill this, foundation is a nightmare to get out of carpet and clothing and even my vanity. I mean, foundation really stains. So I don't appreciate that there's not a pump on this. That does not make it very sanitary. If you're going to be taking this and using it on other people or even traveling with this, it can be a little bit messy to work with. I think the price point is amazing. I love the price point. I can work with $5.99, $7.99, somewhere in that spectrum. If I lost this, if this broke, I wouldn't be out, you know, upwards of $30, $40, $50 that you spend on higher end foundations. Let's talk about the coverage. The coverage, as I mentioned in the demo, it's medium coverage. It's a good, solid medium. I have blemishes. If you watch any of my Get Ready With Me's, especially this one, you will see exactly what my face looks like. And so I tend to like a medium coverage foundation, and then I get that full coverage effect by going in and spot concealing any sort of, you know, brown spots or any sort of zits that pop up from eating too much ice cream and fast food like I like to do. And that way it gives the appearance of a fuller coverage without having full cake face everywhere. Like, there are certain aspects of my face that need more coverage than others. So I prefer to get a nice even skin tone and then heavy coverage in the areas that need it. The coverage on this is really beautiful. I think it's very fresh. It's very radiant without being overly dewy. Now, I have tried other dewier foundations that are indeed very dewy. Like initially they're dewy and then they just get progressively greasy throughout the day. I find that this stays a very lit from within, radiant finish. It's like a natural radiant. It's not like a super dewy, wet radiant, which I can't jive with. That will not work for my skin type. And I just think over the course of any given day, like if you get slowly a little bit more greasy looking, if you start off too greasy, it's not going to look good in about 4 or 5 hours. So I really appreciate the finish on this. It's something I can definitely work with within that normal to combo skin type that I have. It blended really easily. You've seen that. It really was effortlessly. I didn't have to work hard with this. I've used a brush with this and I've used the beauty sponge. I like both. It's just kind of like, what's less dirty? Which object is less dirty to blend this in kind of situation? It doesn't feel heavy. I don't feel makeup-y throughout the day. It just stays really skin-like, and I appreciate that about this foundation. It doesn't get completely out of control. I think the shade range is good. I think the price range is good. Overall, I am thoroughly impressed with this Maybelline foundation. I didn't really have any expectations going in, and I think that's a great way to go into trying new products, is not to have preconceived notions, not to have, other things that you've watched or been told taint your review. Like, truly just go in having, like, if this works, awesome. If it doesn't, whatever. You know what I mean? And I've just been really overall impressed with the drugstore when it comes to foundations. And I can tell you, before I thought you had to spend so much money to get a great foundation, but I have been proven wrong. And I'm just really impressed with what I've tried so far. And if you want to know what other foundations I've reviewed, check out that playlist. So it is now 11:20. And I'm going to do a couple check-ins throughout the day, maybe just one later on, maybe one in the afternoon. We'll see how it goes. I already know how this foundation works, but I want to prove it to you. I want to show it to you here on camera. I also had a request to turn off my lights like this. That's all the way down, so you can see what we're working with here up close. You can see my freckling. I have freckles, yes. The areas we're going to want to focus in on where foundation breaks up on me is going to be in this area. Of course, I'm going to eat lunch. I'm probably going to lay on the couch, that kind of thing. I'm going to try not to touch my face. But normal things happen in any given normal day. So for me to not like do anything so that my foundation doesn't move, that's not reality. Reality is I'm going to go out and run errands. I'm going to go to the mailbox. I'm going to go, all those types of things, real life scenarios. So let me also show you what this looks like. Oh, it's pretty dark. Pretty dark without that light, but you can kind of maybe see. I'm not sure if this is helpful, but I know one of you had said turn off your light. Now it's going to get bright for just a minute. It's got to adjust here. Turn off your light so that we can really see how things work, and so I will definitely do that. I don't know if that was helpful at all. It is now 4:16, so I've had this one, was it 10 o'clock this morning that I started? So we're at about 6 hours or so, and so I thought I would just show you how it's wearing at the 6-hour mark, because if you were out and about, you probably wouldn't have, the foundation to touch up or whatever, but I did want to show you how it looks. Now, today it's humid. I have been outside. It's humid out, so what happens when it's humid and it's warm is my foundation breaks up sooner than it would if we did not have humidity. So I would say at this point, my chin's kind of missing some foundation. I did eat lunch. I have been watching The Handmaid's Tale. I watched an episode of that this afternoon on the couch, which, by the way, that is a crazy show. And then we started a new show. This is totally off track, but whatever. We started a show on Hulu called 11/22/63, and it has James Franco in it as the main guy. And he like goes back in time to try to figure out who killed Kennedy. I would say overall my foundation definitely still looks wearable. I would say that the evidence of some wearing would be on my chin. I'm a little glowy up in here. I would probably touch this up a little bit with powder in about 2 hours for sure. But I would say it still looks pretty good. It definitely looks a little bit worn. Here's my lights turned down. I don't know if you can get a better glimpse of up my nose. Hopefully I don't have any boogers going on, but you can see it's a little bit wearing right there. I'm making sure you can see what's going on, the whole shebang. Overall, I'm really pleased with this foundation. I've been wearing it a lot. In fact, it's kind of been my go-to foundation over the past month, just because it looks very natural. It looks healthy. It doesn't look overdone. It doesn't look too makeup-y. It just really works. I hope you guys found this video very helpful. If you have not yet tried this foundation, I would maybe give it a go. Give her a try, and guess what? If you don't like it, you can always return it. Or if you want to keep it or give it to somebody, you're only out, what, $7? I mean, that is amazing. I really appreciate that the drugstore is able to keep up with high-end when it comes to foundations. And I don't necessarily think high-end is better than drugstore. It just really has to do with the product, the actual product. How does the product perform? I could care less about the name, who owns it, what the price point is. I just want something good that's going to work. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. It helps my channel out so much. Do not forget to subscribe. I would love to have you here as a part of our family, and we will chat very soon. Bye, guys.